Jane. Welcome to today's Design Talk in conjunction with Industry Community Advisory Panel Icap event with the theme On Change and Future, Design in Transition. I hope everyone is having a great Monday. Thank you everyone who is watching on FB Live. I hope everyone is done with your lunch and ready for this amazing talk. Today with me in the organizing team are Dr. Hanim, our lecturer, Nadira, Christian moderator, and Jade, the tech person. So before I introduce the panelists, I would like to remind you that if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat section on Facebook Live, and we will answer your questions at the end of the session. So today we have two amazing and talented panelists here with us. Our first panelist for today will be Gigi Lee. She is the Chief Creator Officer of TBWA Group Malaysia. Gigi started her career with a You Had Me at a Helvetica moment. Some of the brands that she worked with was with Toyota, Lexus, Colgate, KFC, and even a Astro broadcasting firm. Apart from that, in her first 3 years of ECD, she won Best of Show and Agency of the Year at the Cannes. She was also named World's 12th Best ECD by the Big One and one of Asia's top 10 creatives by Odobo magazine. For those who are watching on Facebook Live that live in Germany, do check out our Gigi's work at M&K Museum. Our second guest for today is Joseph Fu. He is a creative director of Trinity and established an award-winning multidisciplinary brand identity consultant in Malaysia. He is also a graphic designer and promotes the idea of social innovation to his clients in order to make difference in their business and to meet their social needs of local community. He sits in the advisory board and guest lectures at Daesin Academy in Kuala Lumpur. And apart from that, he teaches and conducts workshops at institutions across the world, such as China, Denmark, Germany, Singapore, Taiwan, Turkey, and many more. He is currently involved in Neighbor Program, which is a research practice project aimed at connecting art and design institutions within Southeast Asia region. So without further ado, let us welcome Gigi and Joseph.
Hi. Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Gigi. Joe.
Can see everybody?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. All right. So I think I'm just going to do a quick introduction of what we're going to go into today. Design in transition, on change and the future. I think that's something that we all sort of talk about, for the last year and a half, especially during pandemic. We are all concerned, where are we going? It doesn't matter what profession that you are in, the future looks pretty bleak, and we, especially in our industry, which is a bigger portion has been affected actually. So yeah, so I think to go into it, I think we can talk about first of where we were before. I mean, me and Gigi, we actually started pretty much in the same time. We were classmates in college and in the university. We sort of started work in the same time and experienced pretty much the same thing. Yeah. So I think I will let Gigi talk a little bit of her journey, maybe as a start.
Hi everyone. So I started off like what Joseph said. We started at almost at the same time and started as a designer. And I was actually a designer. So back then in advertising, so it's almost like what you see here is actually decorator. So you do almost everything that the art director asks you to do, and you just need to make everything look pretty and look good. But on top of that, so if you can transition from our role designer to art director, so then actually slowly coming like you need to get a lot more thinking into it and how to actually plan properly, so in order your art as a designer, you're not just a crafter but also a thinker on how to actually plan things ahead, and so So it doesn't matter the role is actually your designer or art director. So it's actually equally the same thing. You need thought and you need strategy to plan your campaign properly, so that actually serve really serve a purpose and help really solve a business issue or help impact the consumer. So, and if you are actually really looking at how our transition of from art director to this, and those are actually in 90s until today. Even before the pandemic, the landscape has changed quite dramatically. From conventional medium to all digital, right? So everybody is actually going digital. So the pandemic is really speeding up whole landscape, even like the e-commerce and so, right? So from that, so the connection is actually then becomes more connected to consumer, right? So because before that, all the medium are mass. Right now, it's actually closer to us. You deal with social media every day. So how do you actually then look into strategies and how do you strategize and talk to your consumers?
Yeah.
So that's that. And from here, and moving on to so from a brand, even from an agency, you actually do something like you just do something good or something good for the client or something. In this one, Joseph also has been involved a lot and coming from a brand or from.
Yeah, I think that is something that we all believe that at the end of the day, we shouldn't serve the peak of the pyramids, and because the consumer is the one that pays for everything, pays for a house, pay for the drink, pay for the food, and so on. But for me actually, for many years, we are serving the top of the pyramids. So at some point that we realized that I think we should make that change. Yeah, there's nothing wrong to serve the client, the rich people, right? It's fine. I mean, and it's always okay to make money for the client as well. But then besides making money for the client, we also have one additional thing that we say is that it shouldn't be just good for the client. It should be good for the client and also the people and also the earth. So I think, as you can see, our transition, we were first started off as just make things pretty, right? I think a lot of the young students, you probably felt the same, that you just want to make things beautiful and you love it and you like it. Yes, there's nothing wrong. But then as we journey, I think we need to actually start to think about, not just about making things pretty. You need to have that strategy, and then you need to make sure that it's good for the people and it's good for the client. Yeah. So content creation, I think that's the first thing. I mean, I think me and Gigi, we are probably in the last 10-15 years that we are quite concerned, because when you can't control the content, sometimes you don't agree with the content. So how should we deal with it? So for Trinity case, my company, when we started, we create our own content. We don't do it for our client. We do it for our industry. We do it for our friends, our communities. Okay. Then eventually, when we accumulated that 10,000 hours, okay, then the client, they started to see that, hey, you guys are pretty good in that. Can we do something like that as well? I'll show you some very small projects back then, later, just before we move into the next slides. I mean the next section. So that you will know that, hey, small project boleh jadi juga, But then that is something that sort of drives us for the first 5 to 10 years of our career. So yeah, this is a few small projects. This is we took. This is about at least 15 years ago. We have this. We have a series of project called Takeaway. This is Takeaway Hope. We have. This is basically in 2009. where our country is in recession. A lot of people are losing their jobs. At the end of the year, our friends like yeah, Yasmin Ahmad died on that year, and she's actually a very good friend of our. She's actually a wife of me and Gigi's husband, me and Gigi's classmate. So I remember that year also, like a lot of friends are losing their jobs, and migrated out. The Perak, the political issues in Perak, the the state government changed, and then and it changed again because of some betrayal. So there's a pretty bad year. So we thought that let's do something positive. Let's deliver hope. So this is a project that put together in just 2 weeks by about 6 or 7 people, friends in the industry. Then we give away something that is hopeful, yeah. And then we have videos. We ask people about what's hope to them, and yeah. So similarly, we do something called Take Away Love. It is actually in a box that comes with some tidbits, and there's the story of love, very short story of love, written locally and also abroad by our friends. Yeah. So very simple project. Get it done in a couple of weeks. Get it printed. We got sponsor from printer, so it is pretty easy to go to do. But we accumulate some very good experience. Then we got then on a year later we did something quite fun. It's called the ghost that is always hungry. Especially you guys in Penang, right? The 7th month of the Chinese lunar calendars. Is scary. It's because they believe that ghosts are coming out. Okay, so what do we do? So we take a deep, make research about what kind of ghosts you're talking about. Why are they coming out? So this is coming from a very a media path sort of research. We talk to different people from different religions, and we talk to kids. So at the end of the day, we host like a meeting, a few get together. We talk about ghost stories. So it's so fun, and then I make that direct for everyone. So then, Man and God is a project that I've been doing for many years, and we are still doing it now. We travel to different city. This is content creation again, more into spiritualities and design and arts. So making of babushka doll, using babushka doll to tell stories. So these are all content creation, yeah, and fantastic galleries, that hosted or museum that hosted our exhibition.
So when we talk about content creation, right? So for my company, so we are actually corporate company, so network agency. So what we do is you can either go into, you initiate something, or you can actually do a content for client. So I'm going to show 2 cases here. One is actually from our initiative itself. So some of you who has attended talk last year, so I actually shared this case before. So if you actually look at Malaysian is actually a so Malaysia is actually a diversity country, so make up of different races, and we still practice our own religions or our own culture. So but what actually happened is actually I think every Malaysian know that so all different culture, different races, it actually give birth to the slang. So we speak in mixed languages and so, right? So and with this slang, so sometimes there's actually so many slang, sometimes you don't even know, and they want to start out, they will never archive all this, but this is actually really the language of the rakyat. So so we are actually thinking, why can't we actually just archive them? We just initiate a platform in Instagram, and we archive them. So we actually started Instagram based picture dictionary. So since years back, I can't remember how many years. So when we first started, there's actually nothing. So we actually starting to collect our vocab accordingly to the topic. So I remember when we first started, it was actually based on the first election. Past election. So we actually have a few words based on that on Thai and so others. So the process is actually as how like we actually get people into suggest the vocab to us filter, and then we actually make it into a picture. We work with artists, and the artist or the designer will actually express accordingly to the design, and as well how we actually archive these whole things into the slang bag. So until now, so although this is actually just an internal initiative, but it's actually grown out from a zero-based bands to 5,000 over. So our vocab has also gone up to almost 500, 400, 500, and to today, it is not just our content. We also get a lot of people calling us or wanted to collab with us, like some brand, and for example. So one of the cases. So this is actually on slang power by people. I will actually explain much on this. This one is actually one of the collaboration with Link KL. Also, it's actually a shopping place that they during the Merdeka Day they just want to do a collaboration with My Slang Bank to put up like slang by right. So we actually beginning to have more like this year also of agency wanted to do this. Right? So this is actually the how you actually initiate the content and people. So the next case, this is actually a case for my milk, one of my clients. It's actually a milk brand. So so the title is funny, right? From milk to movie, right? Actually, when we actually get this brief, right, it's just a promotional brief. So every year end, you will actually they will actually do a year end promo. So the year end promo is actually just you buy a pack and then you get a crayon. But the thing is, okay, so we have to go back to the brand positionings, right? So how do you actually see the parents? Do we just want to do a straightforward promo? So we have to go back to the source of the issue of the picture. How do you actually stand out even as just a simple promo? So so we then go back to our parents. Parents really believe in conventional learning in Malaysia, right? So they believe studying is the best. So but the research actually say has proven play-based learning is actually more effective to help your child development. So our brand wanted to make our parents realize the power of play. So the idea then is actually the power of play. How do we actually inject the power of play to our promo? So we just turn a normal promo to a game. So just add a twist to a simple promo and make it a contest. So how do we do it? So this is actually the process. So the initial one is actually, so it's actually still the thing. You buy a promo, you buy a pack, you get a big crayon or color pencil, and then we add a twist to this. So what we actually ask people to do is actually a contest. You draw. So after you get the crayon, so we encourage the children and the parents to ask the kids to draw a character, and the character then will they will submit the character via WhatsApp, and we will actually choose 31 or 30 lucky kids to their character to turn it to a movie. Every brand tends to have your own vibes, right? So your tonality and so and of course to new client we always ask them to start with a brand person. So before we start anything. So when it comes to designer, so you not yes you actually have your skill. You can be when you actually do decorator, that's actually different from decorator to strategy that decorator. So when you actually do a design, you need to understand your client's tonality also. So you don't do things for yourself because we are actually into a world of communications. You have to do something that translating your brand voice, your instead of just doing your what you like, right? So of course, when it comes to some certain time, a lot of time actually, so the client will actually, come to comment that, oh, okay, this is not nice. I want to do this. So sometimes, and when it comes to this kind of situation, because client being client might actually give their input, but you can always prove to them that, okay, I tried this, right? Okay, this is how does it look like, and you always come in with your point of view. So, and always give a reason why you are doing that. And when you actually have a valid reason, most of them actually don't listen, because you do not go in just to say, oh, this is nicer, this is actually this is ugly. If you do that, right, there's actually not a rational answer to that.
Let me or
Last
yes,
August,
Yes, we can hear you.
Sammy's boy ever turned into the bravest boy ever.
I can do this. I need to do
In a wonderfully wild adventure of a lifetime. Kitty, how dare you! A movie. Designed by 31 kids, parents could finally realize their child's potential when their imagination was brought to life. By a growing up milk brand in the most unexpected way through a simple promo. Buy Similac, get free crayons. Starring 31 characters designed in a contest where over 600 kids rose up to the challenge. We made parents realize the benefits of drinking Similac and showed them the power of play. The movie premiered on Malaysia Day. Parents witnessed their child's potential and were prouder than ever. Sticking your nose in a book can increase intelligence, but Similac made parents realize that play was just as important, all by using the power of free crayons. From milk to movie. Never underestimate the power of play.
Okay, so this is actually the case video. So I'm going to show of the movie. So this first, there's actually 4 episodes, but I think you just stop halfway, just for you to look at how this
Once upon a time, in a land of hopes and dreams, lived a little boy whose heart wandered in a daydream. Oh, why, he asked himself. Why can't he be like the rest instead of his true self?
tomorrow. Shut up, won't you? Hey, isn't that the advanced puzzle set? How are you done with that so fast? I swear, it's the milk you drink. Probably has some magic in it. Wait, how does it feel to feel like you belong?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Sammy. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Sammy. May this gift take you on a wonderfully wild adventure.
Oh, thank you, Miss Tiara. Yummy.
Cake. Yummy.
Whoa, what just happened? I think it's the shoes.
In that moment, Sammy knew. He knew what it felt like to belong. And it's a feeling he wanted to keep close to his.
Can't wait to go outside tomorrow. I can finally dance in Chigu Arrow's class. Shh. Shh. Today was a good day. Good night, Ray. It's weird. I can do this. I need to do this.
For the first time in forever, Sammy set his foot outside, determined to find his special shoes no matter what.
This is your first episode. So the journey will continue as how Sammy actually become a brave boy because he never stepped out from the house and to find the shoes. So there's actually a lot of miracle or surprising people that he has met. In the end, he achieved true boy, true brave boy. Yeah, so that's actually the story. So it's actually rather long for episode, so I will stop here. So if we have time, we come back to this again. Okay.
Okay, from milk powder, we go to something Hala. Yeah, it's actually a brand by selling all this like chicken rice, pork rice and stuff in Petaling Street in Chinatown. So how it started? Yeah, it was started last year. I remember just right after the Sheraton move, and the brand, it basically says fake bro. It's like you are like a turncoat. You don't respect justice. So we thought that it would be quite timely because it's right after a few months right after Sheraton move, and we thought we encouraged the client actually look into this brand and turn it into something that's quite funny. And so it's sort of taking a swipe on the fake brother. You always have people say bro or sis, right? But they are fake. They are still not honest to you, or they are not doing the right thing. So this is like taking a swipe of these people, but on a funny way. So these are all sort of like a proverbs that taken from a few thousand years ago, like from Confucius, from Lao Tzu, and with a modern twist. So if you read Chinese, of course, then you know what I mean, because the English translation, is not the correct translation, but rather on the funny side. So this become like a sensation in Petaling Street in Chinatown, that people actually not just going there for chicken rice or char siu rice, but they are also going there to experience how to eat roast pork and be a good person. So this is the stores. We sort of design the stores in a way that that people will take a laugh. They just come, not just to enjoy the food, but also be inspired by the content. Yeah. So this is what we're saying, content creation. Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot of people actually came supports, and they're coming back, even after MCOs, they are there. It's always crowded. Let's say, for example, the table that we design in a way that it's like, they are like this so-called characters that it's always the characters that bluff people, or betray your friends, or make reports to you, or the character they like to bodate, So these characters is all on the different side of the tables. So whenever you sit on that side, that sort of, then you will be taking a laugh, then you'll be laughing at it, because sometimes it does relate to us. That I like for me, I could be reporting, to my parents about my brother, smoking behind everybody. So this is something that we familiar with, when we are in childhood. So like we'll give stickers, to people, and they can pick the stickers that the one that fit into who they are at that point. So these are the videos that we make, and to ask people about what's being a person.
静文有说过啊，好像啊，人生难得敬已得啦，所以應該好好做人啦。但是做人係乜嘢啊？哇！呢一個唔簡單喎，可以好深，亦可以好簡單。譬如講啊，Joseph，我知佢識佢咁耐，成日都會幫人噶啦。佢叫我上嚟講幾句話，如果我過嚟講，唔識做人咯。所以有時做人就係咁簡單啦。
做人係睇你去對人咯，睇下你對人家好唔好咯。你可以做好人，做好人咧，你就係幫人。你做壞人嗰陣時咧，你咪去害人、打人、斬人、殺人。
Yeah, so this is like an ongoing. It's like a ongoing campaign that we are hoping that to actually come to enjoy the food. At the same time, you can learn the way to be a good person in a funny way. So again, that's on the content side, how we can actually create content to build that brand, even just a brand in the like a normal hawker food brand. Okay. So next we come into strategy. Okay, why is it a strategy so important, and how can a strategy make that difference to a certain brand?
I'm going to start off this campaign, Baskin Robbins. Everybody knows what's Baskin Robbins, right? Like an ice cream. So you are in love with the brand, and so so the brief came to us is during Chinese New Year. So the client came to us to say, I want to promote my ice cream cake. So how do we do that? Because during Chinese New Year, during Chinese New Year, so you actually have all other food, your traditional food and all others. How do you actually get people to convert and ask them to buy ice cream cake? Well, your fridge is actually full of all other stuff, right? So you need a bit of thought and a bit of thinking behind how to actually make it happen. So they also ask us to design a packaging. Well, when you design a packaging, doesn't mean that it will actually help you to increase your sales, right? So how do we do that? So the brief, this is actually the brief, and the challenge is actually like what I said just now. So there is actually not the traditional dessert. So so there's actually a lot of other dessert that you might actually fill up all your fridge during the Chinese New Year, and So in this case, how do we actually introduce this product? And okay, so we took the inspiration. So if you're actually looking at, so because when we actually do strategy, we need to then do a bit of research, right? So, you know, people, they have, you know, the traditional food and so on, but you need to look at, you know, what is actually familiar with them. So because something that is actually new to them, you might actually need something familiar to, you know, incorporate that together, you know, so that they will actually feel, you know, something that's actually more relevant to them, right? So we actually then look at lion dance. Lion dance has been like, you know, so everybody knows lion dance, but because of the modern living and urban living, you know, the houses that we stay in now, like condo and so that's actually really like, you know, cutting down on how people actually bring in lion dance troupe, right? So and also to hire a lion dance is actually not cheap either. So so maybe there's actually chances here that we can actually really, you know, combine these two things together, right? So the insight, so on cultural age, right? So this is actually one of the tools from TBWA. So we think that, you know, people crave for multi-sensation experience, because nowadays it's actually landscape. With the landscape change, you know, with all social media and all others, so people people are actually very exposed to AR or, you know, internet world. So how do we combine all these things together? So the insight is then lead to what I said just now. It's easier to accept something new when you write on something familiar, right? So the solution then is we bring the lion home, right? There's actually a double image here, so ignore that. So the solution is that we are going to we gone beyond the brief of just you know, doing the, you know, promote the ice cream cake or, you know, design the packaging. And you know, so how do we do that? We bring in AR and we bring in, you know, some culture. So just look at the case video.
So, how did we help Baskin Robbins get their ice cream cakes to sell during Chinese New Year? A festive season where every other food is favored over ice cream. Simple. We gave it a bit of culture. As more urban Malaysians live in condos, and as cost gets higher, lion dances, one of the most popular Chinese New Year activities, stopped being a staple. Now lion dances are mainly viewed in malls and on TV. Why not let them bring the lion dance home? To do this, we mixed that cultural element with technology and creativity in one awesome package. First, we needed to make the ice cream box stand out. So we designed it to look like a lion's head and decorated it with traditional Chinese elements of prosperity like mandarin oranges, fireworks, and lanterns that were redesigned with modern clean lines, polka dots, and vibrant colors. Then we added some technology to the box. QR codes on each side that when scanned launches an AR lion. With a little bit of creativity, anyone can make the lion dance. Malaysians of all races created their own dance and sent the lion as greetings to friends. This campaign brought an all-expensive Chinese New Year tradition into everyone's homes for a fraction of the price and helped sell lots of ice cream cakes.
So okay, so this is actually a classic example of, you know, how you actually turn into something simple, the simple brief, to engaging brief. So if you actually look at the solutions that we have, although we actually put in the AR, but there's also lead to content. The content that the solution that we have, right, is actually the solution that we have is actually you know, create the AR, you create your own lion dance, and everybody start sharing this to everyone, right? So that is also content. So there's actually all relatable.
Yeah, so on strategy, I'm going to show you one of the older projects. This is for Olaya. It's like a dry meat brand in Chinatown, and they are already pretty good, actually. You know, one of the market leaders. And again, this is for Chinese New Year, and so we were debating why would they will have to go conventional and tell everybody that they're good. You know, I mean, people know that you're good, and usually you keep telling people that you are good and you're delicious. You know, you're the better one. People are getting more and more skeptical now, and our strategy is that then can we pick up something from the brand values, like what they believes in, and talk and communicate to people about it. So we look into their brand values, and sharing or giving is one of their brand values. And we thought Chinese New Year is actually a season of giving as well, right? Instead of just receiving. So we convinced them actually eventually that, you know, they are willing to take on this experimentation that have never done before. So I'm going to show you just 2 or 3 videos that sort of say it all. Yeah.
客嘅成嚟幫襯我哋，咁我哋做一個善事功德，俾客哋歡喜下，哇，好歡喜啊！有一個驚喜。咁樣你睇佢正，你睇我哋傳統都係有咁嘅嘢，將一定愛去幫助人、幫助社會、幫助咩嘢。你成日顧住自己，呢個成個社會咧就會冧啦。咁一個少少嘅活動，咁我俾你哋知道，大家可以幫助大家，俾獻出最好嘅嘢。
So the challenge are not just talking about the idea of sharing or giving. The challenge is also not letting people know that who's the brand behind it. So, but this is the strategy. We want people to ask questions, to find out. We want to keep people curious about it, and why is it such a great thing that's been done in the different part of Kuala Lumpur or Old Town, but no one knows who is doing it. And then they talk about it.
是看到小朋友很开心，其实我本身也是很开心。就通过这样子的一些运动去教育给小孩子，希望他们能够长大的时候，他们也懂得去怎么样去分享，怎么样去吃。
So on the second round, there's still no brand, but eventually, you know, the brand actually make announcement that they were also giving away, because you see fruit stores are giving away fruits, you know, the ice cream sellers, you know, even at the Chinese markets, they are giving away the couplet calligraphies for Chinese New Year, for the display of Chinese New Year. And they also advertise that they are giving away 6,000 packs. And eventually they are giving away even more. And besides this, they also take up a small little space in the newspaper that talk about the ideas of giving. No brand again, it's just the white typography on red and on the ideas of giving. And they are also painted, walls or stores at the different old town in Malaysia. So this is a process.
當然呢一次驅動呢一個咁樣嘅運動，希望能夠影響多啲身邊嘅朋友啦、親戚朋友啦，甚至乎自己身邊做生意嘅拍檔，都一齊去做好事。
施比受更有福的這個活動，如果我們可以把它草根化的話，就是讓普羅大眾都有這個福氣去施去受，這個是我們最大的目的。別說 freelance， 基本上這個就是最大的問題。不管是從普羅大眾到商家，他們都很難去接受這個概念，這個就是我們最大的問題。
我爺爺都影響咗我哋做生意嘅方式咁，因為佢一直以嚟都係回歸社會嘅方式去做生意，咁導致我哋好想去延續佢一個咁樣嘅上面推動一個咁樣。
我相信施比受更有福的這個運動可以把一直現在的冷漠差異重新恢復過去社會的互相扶持經。
今次我嚟除咗無條件咁送出6000包肉乾，為咗回饋社會之外啦，我哋都有同一啲弱勢社群啦，同埋一啲藝術團體去配合多項嘅慈善活動。其實好多時候唔一定係錢或者係物質上嘅，只要你俾少少時間身邊嘅任何嘅人事物，其實就已經足夠。
能施是福，能受也是福。
Okay, so we come into the third part, which this is what I personally think that for whatever we do, even in a smaller way, we must think about how can we empower communities, how can we empower clients, because these are the people that kind of feed our clients, right? So and of course this is always a challenge because clients always think about what's in for us, what's the KOL, not KOL. What's the ROI? What's the return of investment? Why do I have to pay for impacting the?
You see, sometimes when we actually put anything, right, it's not necessary to be, upfront hard sell your brand and tell people how good you are and you are very good or I'm very good and you come to me and I'm actually so good that you buy me.
I'm
right?
the best.
So I'm the best, right? So like what the previous project is also part of community. The things that we do is actually for community. So on this case here, so it's actually for Sunsil. Sunsil, I believe, if for all the women here, that is actually it's not a stranger brand, right? So it has been like the the leader amongst, especially amongst the hijabi, they actually have a range for Muslim. So, but over the years, it has become like a bit less, relevant, right? Because people are changing, so people are getting, Gen Z is coming up. So the things that we do, the brand is doing is maybe is actually really not, that relevant to them. So how can we actually make it relevant to them? So looking back at Gen Z on this group of women, so they are, I think I'm also talking to a lot of students here, the ladies, so and also the new first jobber that when you actually come out to work, Gen Z has a very different mentality. Of course, they are very obstinate. They're actually, you want to do something that you want to do, but having to say that you are also facing a lot of barrier that you have been facing, in the working world, right? I mean, one of it would be like, the man dominance, career. How do you actually stand up? So I'm going to show you the case. It will actually take you a better understanding of what I mean and how do you actually lead to Miss Possible. So Miss Possible is actually a platform that we created for this group of women to tell them that ini saat kita, this is your time, and really create a platform for you that we do created music video anthem song, and also collaborate with three POL who is actually their YouTuber. They have their own career. They actually have really picked up their career amongst the men dominance industry. So and we want to go through their story by bringing up their story to bring out to give encouragement to all the young women, right? And to tell them you can do it, and put up your best story. And on top of the music video, we also created other things like a series of consumer journey. So we have our master class, we have class for them, things like that. Okay. Right, this is a case video. I'm going to show you the music video.
With this say, I said no way. Say I'm scared, but I'm not afraid. I got the come, I'll rise, I shall raise my head up. Sounds good. I said, that person, cross my line, you can have a gift summer. So, trust.
Coming back to the question of someone was asking, so how do you actually meet the expectation between the client? Where I think this is also a good example, because this project it's actually took us about a year to make it come true. So there's actually a lot of in between of client agreement, disagreement, in line or not in line with the brand. So we actually have to go in and out to keep coming back with the answer, but we didn't give up. And the client also didn't give up on this project. So that's why in the end, it's actually really come true. So yeah, so if you look at the whole journey, it's not just, one music video. So we actually have gone through the phase 1, that's actually your awareness. Then on your phase 2, that's your engagement, which you have to masterclass. And this music video was launched a year ago, but and this masterclass was actually started recently. And just now I just checked again, on the Facebook, they have another challenge and masterclass again. So finally, it's actually the last phase is actually to see that the follow-up engagement. This is actually encourage all the young women to submit, so that they can achieve something. Some shape and training. So that's actually what we say. When they do that, right, it's actually how they actually sell the brand. They need to be closer to their consumer.
So you can see now it's not really a win situation. It's win-win situation, or even win-win-win situation. That the client, they learn to be accepting the fact that they are not just make money from their consumer. They also have to build relationship. When you build relationship, there's always both ways. It's not just one way, right? So I think because of social media, I think it's because of the
The exposure.
Yeah, the exposure of the brand will eventually you don't have to tell people how good you are, but actually when you do good, people will talk about it. This is the magic of social media.
But one of the platform is also like hidden advertising that we call today is actually. So,
and it's not about sales, right? Because of course the client will always think that okay, the better sales are better, but then at the end of the day, people want to buy or people pick your brand. It's not really because that you're out there or you're cheaper or you are better, but it is because that you have maintained or developed a relationship with the consumer. So so we move to something that is more to the B40. Gmart is actually a brand. They are like a DIY shop, but then they are more for the B40 or even for foreign workers, Bangladeshi, Indonesian as well. So this is a little bit of the process. We are still working on the project, but I'll show you the magic that is not even planned. This is more on, as we are talking to the client, we realize that there's a few things that inspires us. Number one is actually two person. This client is two of them, and they all believe in impacting community, making difference, or even to fulfill other people's dream. It is all about others. Their business are stable, but they want beyond just making money. They want to make a difference in their community. We don't come across a lot of clients like that, but this is one of them. So then, who are their audiences? They are always in this B40 area, whether it's near the factories, or near the the suburbs, or even near the rural areas. Yeah. So these are their audience. So the question is, how do they impact them? So as we move along, then we have derived two keywords. One is jiran, because of community. They want to impact the jiran, their neighbors. Okay. Then they also encourage smart consumption. They don't want people to come and waste money. They want their audience, their consumer, to buy the right products. They can pay a little bit more, but that product will last. For example, they gave us the example of someone came in, to buy a tumbler for their children. They can't afford, the 6 ringgit tumbler, but they can only afford the 3 ringgit. So how do they empower them? They say, well, the 3 ringgit one, try not to expose to the heat. Try not to have hot water, okay? Because it is you affect the quality of the. So when we play with the two keywords and two sort of important facts of what they believe in, then we realize that when you combine the two words, it's actually the brand name. So that's a surprise that we discover, and mind you, this is not coming from us. We could be the one that discover the keywords jiran, or recommended the smart consumption, but they are the one that discover that when you combine the two letter, it become their name. So that's something that when you work for the good of people, good surprises will come. So then, how do we make it more relevant to their audience? Mostly the foreign workers, Indones. Yeah. So this is the brand, Gmart Smart, started by 2 person, and they want to impact communities. So we started to go into all the exteriors, the interior, and try to convey the essence of what this company believes in. Not so much as like selling DIY shop, DIY product, but rather the values of what they believe in. So it's always see these characters, and they like, how do they impact their jiran? For example, in Shah Alam, in the afternoon, they can actually engage the local people, Machikia, to make curry puff, for example, and their space become a platform for the Machikia and the like to sell their curry puff without charging them rent, because the space are there. People come to buy the snacks, then they will know, oh, this is actually a DIY shop or Serbonega shops, that they can actually even to purchase things from there. So it's win-win situation. Yeah. So then we create lots of different characters, graphics for the usage of the client. Okay, and this is all based on their audiences. Yeah. And of course, they have to rely a lot in social medias. And over the past couple of months, they have all these 10-10, 11-11. They are not just encourage people to come and shop, but also to enjoy, the fruits of their collaboration with their jiran. For example, when the school's about to start, they'll actually encourage the community to come. If your home has got extra pupu latehan, just put it there, and when people in need of pupuk latihan, they can come and take it. Of course, eventually people may take advantage. But again, if you want to tap onto the resources that can be shared by everybody, and we cannot avoid that there are some people who will take advantage. So this is what we learned as well. Yeah. So for the last 18 months, and I've involved in 2 farms. I started two farms. One farm is near my community where I live, and one farm is with our clients in Tamarind Square. So the initiative started because that we want people to, we want to promote that farming can be done by everybody, even the small young children. So, and we also want to, if everybody farms, as one of our clients says that, if everybody farms, since people cannot fly, but we want people to farm, right? And if everyone does have one in their balcony, or in front of their house, you can imagine the country will then less rely on the imports, right? So this is something quite powerful if we're able to educate our communities.
Actually, to add into that,
yeah.
so because of the pandemic, right, there's actually a new saying. So your plant is your pet is your new kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a new pet actually. I learned that in Singapore, the government actually prepared a package for every individual HDB flat owner. And they don't even have to go to pick it up. They'll be sent to their HDB flat. They just have to open up and put it under the sun and water it. Then bingo, there are plants, there are vegetables. So that's something that we want to encourage communities. And imagine in places with all these commercial centers and condos, right? And they can actually embrace the ideas. So you can see how impactful it is. So this is a start, and well, because of the MCO on and off, so it takes us about more than a year, actually, slightly more than a year to complete it. Of course, we have a lot of meetings. We meet with the developers and our partners, and this is the day that we started the first round of action that we went into our farm. It's on the rooftop, yeah. So now it's getting there. When you visit Tamarind Square, which is also hosts the biggest bookstore in Malaysia, Book Access. So you're welcome to visit if you're in KL. And the same team is also developed this device called 1 meter square farmer. It's just exactly one meter square, and it came with automation that it can help you to water, help you to balance the pH of the water, and to basically help you manage the farm without taking too much of your time. So that's actually perfect for the city dwellers, especially those that would live in a condo. So imagine in the future, as I told my client that, instead of giving away air conditioner or fridge, or giving away kitchen cabinets, you can also consider giving away a 1 meter square farmer, so that they can actually farm, and it can also beautify the balcony as well. So yeah, so I think impact communities is to me is important, and I think you can also see on the commercial side, the product like Sunsilk, or even down to a developer, how they are slowly going into benefit the community, benefit their people. So I think now we are going into the future, and well, me and Gigi, we talk about the future, and we have no idea. We don't know the future is because we are not prophets, okay? But based on what we have shared, okay, before we go into the slides, I think this is like now, right? This is very now. So, and just 3 simple symbols. you know what's happening.
So you look at this. Actually, TBWA has been using the these three symbols as our strategy roadmap. Not until lately when you see Squid Games and this these symbols has become so popular. Even whenever we present something, the client will ask us, is it inspired by
Squid
Games, or you are Squid Games is actually inspired by you, right? So you see, the content is actually still key,
King.
right? Still the king, and the just one simple one, the episode, a Korean drama that's actually really lead to all this, make this, three symbols, popular. And Star Wars. So Star Wars.
It's like 60-year-old now, right? Or 50-year-old. Star Wars is close to 50
Yeah. Why is it so
still
famous?
strong? Yeah.
Why is it so strong? I mean, from those days until now, right? So every time it come out, it's actually like a hit, so people are actually buying into this, their things and so. But it's actually, if you really study that, it's actually really based on their storytelling, right? And also in their storytelling, there's actually really the whole marketing planning of
Characters.
their characters, their merchandise, their props, and how does the company is actually marketing them.
So we still believe that content is king. I think storytelling or content cannot be replaced by AI. I think this is still us. I think machines still have to rely on us when it comes to content.
And strategy is still crucial. Yeah, because without strategy, right, you will be maybe your product and your brand you'll be the same as all others.
Yeah,
right?
Cannot be differentiated by to the others. So I think at the end, for the good of community is our responsibilities, and we have to make it in a way that it is also client responsibilities. And if you think about it, it's actually the client don't, even from the example that we have seen just now, a few examples, the client don't have to spend a lot of money to be good to the people. Yeah. But then the impact is amazing actually. So that's what we are thinking, that win-win situation or win-win-win situation. It's not always that the client will have to win. Okay. But they have to win, yes. They have to make sure that their consumer is also winning.
Knowing the consumer now, they are actually more exposed to everything and their internet, right? So they're actually more social conscious also. So whenever they buy something, like they're actually more conscious, whether they're actually the material, what other material from, So it's actually happening to all the Gen Z now.
So when you look back, when you go back to the core, to the beginning, when you say branding, which is brand building, right? What is it about brand building? At the end of the day, it's just about building relationship. When you do all this sort of thing, developing content, you have the right strategy, and you make sure that your consumer are able to be impacted by the brand. Why you do all these things? It is because that you want to build a good relationship with your consumer, right? So with that relationship, then your consumer will make it your brand their preferred brand because they appreciate what you're doing. Just like you and your friends, right? You don't lie to your friends. You love your friends. Okay, you want to treat them well. You respect them. Then you can become a good friend with them. So this is the core. This is the basic. So with all this technology advancement, all this sort of like a media, social media gadgets, but back to the core, the basics is about building that relationship.
So when you are actually building the relationship, so when you are building the relationship, that's actually directly is actually you're building a community. I mean, you like what you say, for good is actually our responsibility. So one of the case that we picked from, one of the judging, it is also won a lot, actually a case from China. So it's actually a case of bring up the community and the heritage and so on. So that's the next case. Tencent is a technology company. So how do they actually use their technology to really, engage and to make it very good. So from the technology company, so we can make it's also still So this one,
Wendy.
very interesting case. So Wendy has been in the industry for 52 years. So indirectly, they are actually 52 years old, slightly younger than us. So how do you actually make a brand relevant to the Gen Z and all the especially when everybody is actually into virtual gaming and so to make a brand relevant to your current trend or your current landscape or your current consumer is important. So look at this case and before anything, so look at the case and you'll see, and I will do a summary for you later. So why I think this case is actually amazing.
Gaming itself is bigger than the music industry and the movie industry combined.
Everyone wants in on gaming, but gamers are a tight-knit community who don't just let anyone in, especially brands.
I mean, we're talking about art here, tainted by corporate advertising.
But Wendy's, a restaurant known for serving fresh, never frozen beef, isn't just any brand. Last year, Wendy herself dropped into Fortnite, destroying freezers and taking names. But Fortnite is just one game. So Wendy took her fresh, never frozen beef message to the entire gaming world. Instead of paying other gamers to play for her, Wendy played everything herself and streamed it all on Twitch.
Guys, Wendy's has a Twitch account.
Wendy's streams games over on Twitch.
Each week, she created herself as a playable character, then broadcast her anti-frozen missions in new ways. In Street Fighter 4, Wendy smashed her frozen competition. In Minecraft, she destroyed ice blocks with her spatula. In Animal Crossing, she sold her freezers to the lowest bidder. And that was just the start. But Wendy didn't just play, she created.
Wendy's made a series of levels in Super Mario Maker 2.
Oh my god, these levels are so funny.
It's supposed to be birds. Dude, get the out of here.
She transformed Wendy's restaurants into Mario Kart courses and custom fighting arenas,
These levels are making me very, very hungry.
which inspired her community to share their own creations
So we spawn in Wendy's.
and to even play as Wendy themselves.
I'm Wendy from the Wendy's restaurant. If I could have a ride, that'd be great.
In 1 year, Wendy's turned a 50-year-old brand into a gaming celebrity, created an online community with a new audience, and landed a restaurant in the top 1% of all Twitch streamers, proving that the best way to keep things fresh is to let your game do the talking.
We're going to Wendy's. Yeah, fresh, never frozen beef.
So it's a fantastic strategy because they just take from what they have, fresh, never frozen, to into into a positions of when they actually got into gaming world, right? So it's actually success, and every single gaming they actually it has to be something to do with fresh, never frozen. So like they start on to break the fridge, and from breaking the frozen seasons to breaking the ice block, and until also they actually building their own games, so that's actually really something. They are not just putting like all other brands. They will actually, when they tap in gaming, they will just put the brand inside. So I think some of our brand do that also, but it's actually truly smart, and actually into everything. They make themselves into an online celebrity rather than just simply just a virtual world. You put your brand just that. You just found your brand that. It's not just that. There's actually a lot of strategy planning.
They make it alive, basically. They turn into something that is sustainable because the characters is now alive. Right?
Yeah, they make it like your virtual friends.
Yeah.
So Lego has been a brand that been there, so it's been there. So Lego has been there. And we know that everybody is actually talking about the environment. So how do we actually say that the biggest games in the world they are actually lasting? It's actually not. So that not just Lego, they are actually also thinking of. They're actually planning. If you see the article, from the company, they're actually turning their block into a based block. It's already started, and a lot of big corporations
like Icap.
Or even like they have their own sustainability campaign, how to recycle old furniture, so that's that. Some Unilever, for example, they also plan to turn their bottles into a biodegradable,
Like for IKEA, they'll make sure that the consumption of the wood of the trees can be replanted, not just 1 to 1, but maybe 1 to 10. And they have been doing this since if I'm not mistaken, maybe 10, 15 years ago or more than that, because they know that they cannot avoid from using wood as the furniture. Of course, they can use other material as well, but wood is still one of the majority material that's been used. So what I'm gonna sort of close it with is this a process again? There's something that we did for a restaurant or people or friends that involved in the F&B business. So how do we start it? We realize that there's a lot of food wastage, and we also realize that in the city, I'm sure even in Penang, the people who live in the city, they are rich people, and at the same time, they are also poor people that can have a problem for putting food on their tables. So, but in the same time, we see something that's very annoying almost every day. That you can see food wastage. I hope you're not one of them, because to me, where I live in the city, especially now, I live in this place near Kota Damansara. On one end, there's a lot of orang asli. They are under the B40 categories, and a lot of them will have problem putting food on table. On the other end, there are these filthy rich people, or even the middle class. The majority are middle class. Again, are not sensitive with food wastage. So these are the real people actually, but then no one's bothered to connect them. So what can we do? So we actually developed this plan. We of course with this data that that the food wastage is getting serious, more and more serious. At the same time, we are actually into the era of food shortage. We don't have enough rice. I'm not sure whether you're aware or not. Just do a Google. Malaysia do have a shortage of rice that we have to rely on the imports from China and Thailand or Vietnam. So we have developed this idea called 70% full, 100% wow. What is it? Number one, 70% full is actually a tradition of a Chinese, eventually being practiced by the Japanese, the Okinawan, and that they are they live the longest in the world. Why? Because they control on the food consumption. You don't see many of the obese in Japan, but then if you look at Malaysia, I think like Kyrie was saying that 1 out of 2 actually are obese. So then we realize also that in terms of portion, if you split the portion into 3, right? The first portion of our meals, we always to satisfy hunger. Obviously, no one's here probably experienced hunger before, except those that who actually do fasting. Our Muslim friends, right? The rest, I don't think so. Then the second 1/3, that we tend to enjoy the food. Then the last 1/3 is often too much food. Why? Because our stomach is actually take 20 minutes to inform our brain that we are full. But in that 20 minutes, if you're a fast eater, you whack at another 1-2 portion, so you end up too full, right? So then we would like to encourage win-win-win situation. Number 1 is to encourage eating just enough. Number 2, discourage food wastage. Number 3, that we want that 30% of the extra food to be given to the people in needs, especially in our area is orang asli, the orang asli. Yeah. So this is what we are thinking. You can opt for the option of 70%. You'll be given just 70% of the portion. Of course, you pay a full amount. We will encourage the restaurant owners to top up a bit more salads, or even give you a barley water or serai water. Yeah. Then the second portion of that 30% will be given to the people in need. So this is what we are talking about. How can we do this in a smaller way, but reach a bigger impact? So imagine many people. Imagine the restaurants that when they started to practice that. I'm sure people will come because of a family. The daughters would prefer to eat less, but the father will want the full portion. Then you have an option to embrace the idea of 70% full, 100% one. So that's the idea. So I think that wraps up what we want to share today. I'm not sure whether you have any question or Gigi has any closing. Yeah. So I will. Yeah.
I think closing is actually, for me, it's actually simple, for the future, and also even us from 20 or 30 years ago, actually first started, so design, creative is always art is actually, artistic is actually always, the need to be always there.
Really, yeah,
So
beautiful.
you need to. So second one is actually like you say, you say content is still king and ideation is actually still important. Use creativity, come up with ideas that actually have content that's actually relate to. So when you actually have all this, that's you can actually then engage with your consumer better, and you create chemistry with them, and that's actually lead to better engagement. That's indirectly to help you to gain of your business. Again, that's actually myself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys.
Okay, thank you to Mr. Josephu and Miss Gigi for an excellent talk. I hope you all enjoy this amazing talk. Without further ado, now it's time to for the panelists to answer some questions from the audience. Hi everyone, I'm Nadira. I will be asking the panel question from the FB Live. Do drop the question in the chat box. So the first question is from a student. What is the first step before you develop a good content?
First step.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I think I'll do a very quick one. Okay, that's first you need to have a good observational skills. Okay, you need to observe. Okay, that's the first step. Okay, the second step is you have to understand your client. You have to understand your client business. You have to understand the behavior of the consumer. Number three, well, you have to be able to see things from a different perspective. For example, the consumer is a child. Then you will have to lower down your height and to see from the children perspective. Then you're able to develop something that's close to them. Yeah. So that's basically my methodology.
So to sum up to that is research is very important. So and also like to be in line with client, and we have a saying called rather than to go to we go to jungle to really find out the details, really go deep into exploring on what is your consumer and understand that.
Okay, the next question from Amirul Azmi. Can you give tips and steps to be in the graphic designer community? Can you hear me?
Can you repeat that again?
Can you give tips and steps to be in the designer community? I mean, in designer graphic designer department.
Oh, I see. I think after you graduate, you I think immediately you apply for a job, right? Then you'll be in the industry, because whenever you apply a job, then you become more part of the either design community or advertising community, because there will be a design designer is also commonly in the advertising community.
Yeah, I think there are also ways for the other people. I do have students that they graduated. They went into their parents' business, and because that they have that 4 years of design trained. Okay, they're able to see things differently. When they see when they look at yellow, they no longer think this is just a colors. They also think that yellow is lemon. They also think that yellow is per se, yeah, or whatever, right? Yeah. So with this sort of design thinking, it will definitely help them to improve their family business. I mean, can the designers become a policy makers? Yes. Why not? Just look at Bandung. The mayor, the previous mayor used to be an architect. Yeah.
Yeah, we do have a lot of different professions.
Yes.
That has joined advertising. They give up their original profession or their major, and they move to design or advertising.
Yeah, they could be a teacher, a lawyer, as I know, and I have friends who is an engineer, or someone who work in Asia as a data analyst. but they want to become a designer.
Lately, I have met a candidate. He was actually an IT major, and now he's actually a designer.
Yeah, and a medical practitioner, a doctor, a junior. I mean, like an MO. Yeah, he gave up medicine, went into design. If you are in music, if you're familiar with the music industry, there's a lot of musicians. I mean, there's a lot of graphic designers that turn into musicians. You know, one of the bigger name that I know is Brian Eno. Brian Eno started as a graphic designer, but he couldn't find a job in during the recession. Then he became, a musician, and he's the one that developed the idea of loop. Looping. Without Brian, there's no looping. Without Brian, there's no house music or texture music, and he's involved with a lot of big names like U2, Lou Ray.
I see. There's no secret tips, is it?
No.
Is it?
Good tips.
Oh, yeah.
I think they are secret tips, but these tips, which is I just mentioned, you have to be super observational. You need to open up your radar and observe things. You don't just flood yourself with your screen. You look around.
Outside the world, okay.
A good director, a good film director, they can tell such a good stories. Why? Because their observational skills are fantastic. So they can make movies that when you watch that movies, it can relate to you or you can relate to it. That's why you can be with tears. Why? Because he understands your life. How did he or she understand your life? Because he make observation. So yeah, that's an important thing. Yeah.
Be expose yourself to as many things as possible. Don't just don't just keep into your comfort zone. Just what you like, even the book that you read, right? It can always be this genre, but you can always read all other things. If you don't like, do the summary, check out all this, because in advertising world or in design world or in creative line, every day you will actually receive different brief from different there are actually different solutions that we need to solve, right? So have fun and and be exposed yourself, do something that's not on your comfort zone.
Like today, she could be dealing with shampoo. Yeah. Tomorrow, she'll be dealing with a law firm. Then the day after is the industry. It's manufacturing. So if you do not read enough, if you are not curious enough, you're not gonna like this job. And many of my students thought that graphic design is just about making beautiful graphics. No, it is not. It is not. As we mentioned, we are involved into creating content.
And so, like a lot of people,
strategy. Yeah.
And a lot of students, I feel also a lot of, because I also into a lot of students come into this also because they think I'm actually bad in my study, so this will be my choice.
Yeah.
This is not true at all. You need to know a lot. So it's actually you need to expose yourself. You need to learn, and you need to study every other day. And maybe one tip that I can give is you have to lay your foundation right as a graphic designer, which you have to really learn the basic of foundation. So there's actually no shortcut. Okay, so yeah.
Okay, thank you. The next question from Aisha Yaya. Do you think copying works from other designers is a good practice, or as beginner, or we have to start from the scratch? From the start.
Copy.
Copy
people.
Copy.
Well, I think you don't have to copy, but you have to know. You can like, and you should know, and you should have like a gurus that you admire. Like for example, when I was a student, I love Brody's work, and I was and you can mimic them. It's fine because there's nothing new under the sun. whatever we do, you have just seen. It happened before, and it will happen again in the future, because we are all sort of inspired by everyday things, right? And we read without your, without you knowing, you actually, has inspired by some stories, and you put it into your stories. So even like your musicians, there's only 7 notes, right? But just look at the music industries. There's so hundreds of millions of songs can be developed, can be written. So I think again, I don't believe that we can come up with something so 100% original.
Perfect.
But
Yeah.
but we shouldn't copy for the copy's sake. Yeah, you cannot do that.
Okay. The next question from Jia Ying Chua. Hello. This might be dumb question, but how do you guys deal with burnout and constantly be inspired, especially projects that take out years of discussion?
Just walk out, sometimes see the world and come back again. Yeah, take a break. Take a break. And and you need to know, sometimes that it's actually bigger. The world is bigger than just one project, right? So if I'm just going to zoom in here and get stuck and get burnt out, can I just stop for a while and go out and walk out and take a break for 2 days and come back? I think everybody needs to do that, because I think because of the pandemic, anxiety rate and depression the rate has gone up. I've seen a lot of students, or even my colleagues or my staff, they are actually into this. So sometimes when we're actually really tired, you just need to take a break.
Yeah, I think burnout is common lah. It's common. It happens to anybody, even accountant, even my parents or my children. But I think the chances of you guys, the students now, a 19-year-old, 20-year-old, 21-year-old, the chances of you getting burnt out are higher than us before. I tell you why. I think from my generations, I think because we are free from all this social media, technology, and yes, we do play a bit of game, computer game, or even the dumb, like the arcade games. But we don't sleep like 3 o'clock in the morning. We once in a while, yeah. But commonly we sleep maybe on the average maybe 12 or 11, yeah. And we don't do that every day, okay. But if you're looking your lifestyle now, or even my students' lifestyle, they don't sleep until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, okay. For maybe since they were 12 or 13 or 11, some, you just ask yourself, since when you started to sleep late, okay. Then when you graduated, you are about 21-year-old, right? So there was actually 10 years of lack of sleep, and your body takes 7 years to react into. It's a cycle in 7 years to react to whatever you have accumulated. So by the time you go out to the industry, you start to work, there's real responsibilities, and you are shortage of sleep for 10 years. The chances of you going into depression or anxiety or burnout is a few 100% higher than us or than my parents. So I think this is something that I saw since I started teaching in 1998 or 99, and it's very different now. I don't see my designers back then who joined me in the late 90s to have burned out, in a few years. But now I can see my designers got burned out in the first couple of months. Yeah. So I think you have to look into your lifestyle and the food that you eat as well. Do you do exercise?
The wellness, so wellness,
yeah.
And also the mentality, so sometimes, how do you actually de-stress, so talk to friends, or
Yeah.
so sometimes do not just keep everything into you.
Or do you have friends? Do you even have friends that can hang out with you, that you can share things with? So I think these are something that you have to think about.
I see.
There's also a lot more some of these wellness issues.
Yeah.
It's not a dumb question. It's a good question.
It's a good question.
So always be confident by yourself, on what you are doing.
Okay. Is a question from Aisha also. For the brand advertising, how do you cooperate or tune in with the advertising team if they have a different opinion of some issues? You want me to repeat back?
Yeah. So, are you saying that how do you actually connect with them? Is it?
Yeah. I think he's trying to.
It's about communication. So always open up, ask questions, because Malaysians tend to be very quiet on reserve on what the chief is asking, or I think confidence is actually one thing, but beyond everything, right? Even up to senior people like us, sometimes people self doubt. So when you are actually into the real world, when you're actually working with brand advertising or design or in any professional agency, ask question. Nothing is actually said is actually being done. Ask question and you communicate with them. Always connect with them. So rather than to feel, oh, am I asking the right things, or am I what I'm doing, is it correct? So I mean, to make mistake is actually a common thing, right? So never afraid to make mistake. I can say this because I have the same concern when I first started. I didn't talk for 6 months. I hardly talk for 6 months, so it's not that I don't talk at all. It's just I hardly communicate with people. So I'm actually quite an introvert person, right? So but when get used to the people, when you actually start working, there's actually nothing. So a lot of things are actually on your own imagination. Okay, who answer that?
Sorry.
Okay.
There's more. One more question. Last one. Wait. Do you think that when a designer does a certain design, do you think that the content creation is important to send out message, or it depends on the situation?
What's the question?
Do you think when a designer does a certain design, does the content creation is important to send out message, or it depends on the situation?
Well, sometimes you are asked to design a name card. Okay, so the name card, it has to serve the function of the name card. Yeah, so obviously you cannot tell story through a name card unless that name card is, each name card, each names will need to make a statement. Okay, that would be stories, but there's no one set of answers or formula. But the only formula is that you need to understand the brief. You need to understand the client. You need to understand what you're trying to solve. And then who's the audience. So I think this is something that you should focus on. Then not like that each project you need to tell a story. No, but what if it's just it's just a chair, just deliver a chair. Then you don't need to tell stories.
Story need not necessarily to be a long story. Sometimes it's just like when I look at the name, oh, okay, I understand what this, right? That's also considered another way of story, but it's not a long story.
Yeah. Right. When we say content creation, means that our roles has changes, not just from a decorator, we evolve into developing content. Yeah.
So what we are trying to say is actually everything that you design is serve a purpose. It has a message.
Yeah. Yeah. So if the purpose, if a content needed, a story needed in that purpose, then we have to create a content. Yeah.
Like for example, like Nike, it's Nike, right? So previously when they actually first started, no one knows what are them. So when I actually talk about Nike now, everybody knows that it's actually for sport, right? And the tagline is actually just do it. That's actually built along the way. So in terms of who come what, everybody need to come together.
Yeah.
Okay. One last. From Aisha, how do you start the brainstorming about what the one project before the purpose to the brand, company, or client? Is there any particular timeline that you have before you start brainstorming?
Brainstorming. Before we start,
Yeah.
brand story or brainstorming?
Brainstorming.
Oh.
What do I have before brainstorming? I'm sorry.
I mean, I repeat the question again. Sorry. How do you start the brainstorming about one project before purpose the brand or company or client? Is there any particular timeline that you have? I mean, is there step by step before you do the?
Of course, before brainstorming, I hate people that come into the brainstorming without preparing themselves.
Any idea?
Without doing
Okay.
their homework, without knowing what happened, without studying what is it about, without knowing the objective, without knowing the brief. So without doing a proper research. So these are all the things that you need to be ready before you go into a brainstorming. That's a saying. It's like to
You need to be prepared.
you need to know your enemies or your opponents in order to win the battles. If you are going to war, if you do not know the guy that you compete with, you're gonna lose the war. So you have to prepare yourself.
But otherwise, you are wasting time, or you're just waiting for people to talk, and
Yeah.
you are actually not contributing. That's not called brainstorming. That's actually sitting in a meeting.
Yeah, you're sitting in a meeting, not brainstorming. There's no storm. Okay, the storm is there. You're just sitting here. Yeah.
But we do have an impromptu brainstorming sometimes when timing are very short. But normally we will actually brief them first, and everybody go for a break, maybe 2 hours, and come back with some thought. So so I think when it comes to things like that, just open your mouth and share something, because a lot of people when they are actually in brainstorming, when they don't dare to say anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like
Even though it's dumb
space.
idea.
You shake it, right? It takes a while for them to settle down. So the best timing is that when it settle down, then you go for the brainstorming.
Brainstorming is also like sometimes I can say something stupid that you think is stupid now, right? But maybe the other person can pick up something from there and become a different things.
Just now, when this Jiran and Smart, right? It is during brainstorming that the client says that, can I say that they're asking, wow, you guys are so smart, you with these two main things, values, it actually form our names. But we said no, we never thought of it. Thank you for pointing it out. So again, this happened in brainstorming.
Also, idea can come from anyone,
Yeah, not just us.
Not just top creative, And a lot of my cases, some idea are actually come from a person. Some are actually really original.
I remember I remember in the agency in Kuala Lumpur, the creative directors, they even have a session when she want to know the to get more inspirations. She will have everybody and talk to everybody, including the cleaner, including the driver. You know, they are all sitting there. So her inspiration could be coming from anybody.
And to all the students, I have a campaign that original idea was from an intern.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't feel small about you being fresh in the industry.
All right.
All right. One last question. Can you all, how do you guys manage to designing for the tabo? Is it tabo or tabo? Sorry.
Taboo.
Can you taboo? Oh, sorry.
So how do we deal with design taboos, is it?
Yeah. How you
think
manage to design a
we have to be sensitive, especially when we are in Malaysia or in a country where you have different races. And I would think that a lot of people thought that with different races you have a lot of limitation. Yes, I think we have a lot of limitation, but at the same time we have a lot of inspiration because of different races, right? So the same, it's so rich. If let's say in Japan, there's only one race, Japanese, only one language, Japanese. So there's so much that they can do only. But imagine in Malaysia, we can go beyond it. We have like, now we don't just have the three main races. We have all the natives. We have our East Malaysian. Now we got more. We got Bangladeshi. We got Pakistani. We got everybody. So imagine that there is taboos, but there are also a lot more inspirational source. So think about it.
Yeah, some taboos was actually set by client or set by common thinking between industry. So there was actually one case that I did, it's like 10 years ago. So it's already in the market. It's actually chipster packaging. So when we actually start doing that, right? We actually came up with a few designs. So our proposed design was actually in black colors. During then, one of the taboos the client told us is black is not a food color. Okay, so they were actually in that world that so black is not. So they like the design, so they asked us to explore a few other color. So we try that, but it doesn't look as good, and because all other competitors, they start using the same color. So during the research, we did actually ask clients, so while we actually give you these two designs to try, and can you actually also test our black color? So in the end, black color won. So that means the consumer actually chose black color. Yeah, so that's why you can see that is actually in the market, and nowadays, that's actually quite long ago. Nowadays, you can see a lot of black color.
Yeah,
as a food packaging.
Yeah.
Right?
Like Tima, I mean, is Tima even a taboos, So I don't know. It's just people there are some people just want to make like a taboo with a different motives. Because if by using that sort of logic, then I cannot eat Julie, right? Julie biscuit is Julie. I'm eating a woman. I cannot fly Virgin the Virgin Airlines. Like in the UK, there's an airlines called Virgins. Yeah, we are flying Virgins, right? When we are in Europe. So I think it's just we are in a very unique situation sometimes, that we are so easy to be driven by a certain thing that is not that important actually.
Okay. I think thank you for everyone for the question, and we have come to the end of our session. Thank you to all for listening, and thank you Gigi and Joseph for your interesting sharing. Have a good day and stay safe, everyone. Bye.
Apology for the hiccups.
Thank you, guys.
Next time we'll try to have more rehearsals. Okay.
Okay.
Keep fun face to
For
face.
sure.
Yeah, we should be in USM already next time.
No, I think we have USM to come here, all right?